Hello, we are Yonk and we are a 3D design and animation studio from the Netherlands. We have been asked by sharingbauhaus to make a tutorial for you. And today our tutorial is going to be about sculpting in virtual space. But we have decided to make it more of a podcast-like style discussion. And firstly show you what we do and why we do it. And then have a little discussion afterwards, just because it's a good chance for us to stop and think about how we are making and
it's a nice reflection moment for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. But first I'll just introduce my co-partner, Niels.
Hello.
So maybe introduce yourself actually.
Of course. I'm Niels van der Donk. I have a background in graphic design. I studied at the Royal Academy of Art in The Hague. After that, I started working as a motion designer. I work now at Studio Dunbar as a motion designer. And of course, I also work as Yonk.
Yonk, exactly. And I'm Victoria Young. I studied sculpture at Central St. Martin's in London. And I work at Yonk. And maybe we could talk a little bit about Yonk, because that's good to know. Niels, do you maybe want to?
Yeah, so we, I think it's now 2 years ago. Probably, it's almost 2 years ago, I think. Vicky was working on 3D video clip for a friend. I did a little bit of 3D beforehand at the academy, but I never really went through with it. And I saw her work with 3D, and I immediately got fascinated with 3D again as well. So then we decided to invest in a PC at first, actually, and later on in the virtual reality set. And that's kind of the start of Yonk, just because we were just super interested in 3D. We both didn't have like a really big background in 3D, but we were just super fascinated by the 3D world. So we just wanted to give it a go. So it started maybe actually as a hobby.
Yeah, for sure.
But it kind of grew over time.
And now it's very much a part of our lives.
Yeah, this became our night jobs essentially.
Exactly, hence why we're in the evening now. But yeah, basically, just to cap Yonk in a couple of words, we specialize in VR sculpting. Niels is going to give you a little example of that now. And we make sort of design, animation, pretty much anything anybody wants. But yeah, we have a very certain style, and we will definitely show you that later on as well. But maybe let's first give you a little insight of how the actual interface of the program we're using, which is Medium by Adobe.
Exactly.
It's just changed names. That's why it's so hard. But yeah, just give you a little. Niels is going to give you a little run through how we do it, how we create work. Take it away, Niels.
Because as you can see, this is our living room, but it's also our kind of the platform for our virtual studio, because I can just sculpt anywhere. I can sculpt in front of your face if I want, maybe not. But we use like you said, Medium by Adobe, and it's basically a virtual reality drawing tool. So you have, like in my right hand, I have basically a paintbrush, but obviously it's not 2D. I can also go forward, I can go backwards, I can also turn it if I wanted to, so I can look at it from all sides. So that's all in my right hand. Also, I have a color canvas, access to a color canvas, so I can here, as you can see, I can change the color of the brush. I can change the actual the brush itself while sculpting. So it also, the trigger basically indicates like how much pressure I'm putting, so how big the thing would be or how small it would be. Even I also have like a little toolbox here. I can, for example, start sculpting with a cylinder. I don't know if you can see it quite well. I can sculpt with any kind of shape. I could literally make a shape, then put it in here as well, and then start sculpting with that. I mean, I can just put a little head here on the table if I wanted to. So that's very fluent. That works very fluently. Then also on this side, so let's say you make a ball here, very boring sculpt. Actually, let's make it kind of a bear kind of thing. I have another, what do you call this, Vicky?
This is a palette.
A palette. So I have like different tools on this palette as well. So I can have a move tool, which allows me to distort the entire image. So I can just start pulling it. I can also push it back. I can do a lot of different stuff with this. I have a smoothing tool. So if I press that, then you probably won't see it that nicely now, but as you can see, I can also smooth everything out. A swirl tool can make it turn everything into ice cream essentially. So it's it has a lot of different possibilities. Even has a paint tool, which we actually never use, but also quite interesting.
Yeah.
And because it's virtual reality, I also have a delete tool, because we're digital, so I can also just delete everything just as easy. I can also have a command set button as well. I can also delete everything whenever I want to. So, and then afterwards, when you're done sculpting something, you can super easily export it to your computer, and then there's a whole different process, of course, after that to make the actual finalized product by lighting it differently. But this is the studio that we work in. Exactly.
Both physical and digital, because this is the room that we work in usually. And maybe we could I think we have a few images that we can just show of sort of the outcomes that we have had from sculpting. So Niels is going to pull them up now, quite literally.
Yeah. it has some green in there. We have a green screen here, so
exactly. So some things are maybe just make it a little bit bigger, Niels.
So this is our very first project we've worked on, which was for Demo Festival. It was an animation festival organized by Studio Dunbar, and the festival essentially was taking place at Amsterdam Central Station, and they would take over all of these massive screens all across Amsterdam Central Station that are normally used for advertising. But now, for that time, for 24 hours, all of these different motion designers could take it over. So we thought, okay, this is super cool, because that's the first time that if we get in, that we are able to see our works in the real world, right? Because sometimes your work tends to stay on your hard drive.
Or posted on Instagram.
So you can see we made these little creatures. These are all animated. Unfortunately, you can't show animated stuff in 3D in the virtual reality. But the eyes were kind of chasing these little light bulbs that were going with these creatures. Everyone thought they were letters. We didn't really make them.
Yeah.
But the idea that they were going to be... No, it was a conscious choice, but it was very nice. And so we got in. Sorry to mention that. We got in. That was really nice, because we went to Amsterdam Central Station ourselves to have a look. And it was super fascinating just to see the stuff that you're making in virtual reality to actually get a physical shape in the real world. And you see, and it's in a very busy place as well, Amsterdam Central Station. And we were there around rush hour, and you see all these people leaving the trains and immediately walking into massive sculptures of freaky aliens.
I think that it also was sort of the beginning of the style, because we before that had been experimenting, but maybe experimenting too carefully, and this was a very quickly sketched thing that created these sort of very natural kind of ripples and bumps all over the little alien guys.
Yeah.
So everything has green in it.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. So it's transparent, but it's nice, because then we can just put it in front of your
Exactly.
So
these ones were for It's Nice That, the magazine. And maybe I'll just quickly say it was for, we were commissioned to make rainbows that reflected the rainbows that came up in the windows everywhere during this pandemic that we're in. So these were a couple of works as well, and this is also sort of following on with that style, creating characters more so, and yeah, that's another project.
Yeah,
maybe just show one more, just to get an idea of where we're working or how we're working.
Yeah, we have. You can always go to our Instagram. We basically post every week, right? Like it's about every week. So we're constantly in the process of making stuff. So these didn't even have like a real purpose, they were more like project-based works. But these, for example, is just something that is in our head.
Exactly. So now I think we're going to talk about what it means to be a digital creator for both of us, and have like a small discussion about how using this tool makes us feel, how we work in it, and also sort of like thinking about where digital tools like this are going to go next, because that's something we're both definitely interested in.
Yeah.
So maybe you could just tell us, as you're sculpting, Niels, a little bit about how you feel in VR right now.
Quite hypnotized, I must say.
Yeah.
No, I think what is one of the biggest things of being able to work in virtual reality is that you have no limitations, almost no limitations. You have a few. There's a couple of things missing obviously missing from real life sculpting, but the greatest thing is that you can have, for example, like you have this. I'm making a flower pot now, I think. And it allows me to work on a skill that wouldn't be able to happen in the real world. So like I can make this flower pot as big as I want it to be, but I can also make it as small as I want it to be. It could be like, I don't know if you even see it anymore. There it is.
No, it's not noticeable.
Which is like something that like you won't be able to do in the real world. Also, I think that there's basically a Command Z button in virtual reality, and at first I thought I'm kind of against the Command Z button in the first place, because I think a lot of times the first things that come up in your mind are the best ideas, but because you have because we have the tool, you have that in the back of your mind. I have a feeling that you're not really concerned about if you're going to make any mistakes, because you have that option, right? You don't have that option in real life
exactly.
Sculpting, and I think that allows you to make things without any anxiety, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that when you create stuff you have a lot of anxiety, but you're not really. Maybe when you're sculpting in a piece of wood, right, and you sculpt in it by removing pieces, the moment when you make something, you take something away from that piece of wood, that's going to be there. You're not going to be able to get that back to the piece of wood, because that's just
exactly
cut out.
You have to find a way to fix it, whereas here you don't have to do that at all, because
fearless sculpting.
Exactly.
I never thought about it that way, but it's I think that's a really beneficial thing about working in virtual reality.
Exactly. And I think also another beneficial thing, definitely for me, is that we can be quite intuitive with what we sculpt and how quickly we can make it. So, for instance, I always had these problems when I was studying fine art, that I had an idea and it would be this huge planned out thing that I had to spend like maybe 3 to 4 months organizing / making, and there was different elements. And this is like I have an idea and I put on the VR headset and then I can just work it out within this space. And
if it doesn't work out, that's also fine.
Exactly.
Because it didn't take you that much time to make it in the first place.
And it's just like there's a huge difference in that. Like you said as well, I think it comes down to also like maybe it's a bit stressless. Like the VR headset, it's a bit relaxing because you can just go in and make whatever you want.
Yeah, I think also talking about like being able to work stressless. I mean, obviously, I'm now also kind of locked off in my own world, right? I can still hear your voice. I still hear that ambulance just passing by, but I don't have any visual distractions outside of this. Like I don't see the real world right now.
Exactly.
So I'm just focused on this very beautiful these very beautiful plants that I'm making. And normally, I mean, even when you're working like from a MacBook, for example, or just any kind of screen-based interface, you tend to still, like, even though you don't want it, you're very easily distracted, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how it's for you, but it's very easy to just or grab your phone. You see like a little notification somewhere. Whilst in virtual reality, you don't see those things. I mean, you only get maybe like an Oculus notification that you got some new high score by sculpting 1,000 things in virtual reality or something.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's that's also in that way. It's very beneficial for me at least.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about it.
I also think so. I think you have a lot more focus because I think you're transported from like obviously your space wherever you are to like a studio. And like when we are in there or when I'm in there, I definitely feel like I'm not sitting in my living room anymore. I'm just sitting in like, you know, the studio and I just focus on the object.
Yeah.
I think that's really important as well. And it could be like, I mean artists always need a studio, right? They always need somewhere to work.
Yeah.
And I think that also is for us is like really beneficial having this as a studio.
Yeah. And also this is only going to get better in the future, right? Because that's what we also wanted to talk about.
Exactly.
Because
but things are getting better. But maybe we could just sort of like talk about as well like how, because like for instance we started this with the like Niels maybe mentioned earlier, is that we started this as a hobby.
Yeah.
Something that we're like having fun with, and we still are today. But we've seen it grow because it has like a new sort of maybe look and style to it that hasn't been seen within 3D maybe before. And it's growing pretty well. And I think it's just also good to mention that I definitely feel that maybe over the past couple of years that there's a little bit of a need for digital assets more so maybe, or like, I mean, as well as maybe physical stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I think that like the digital is
only going to become
bigger and bigger. Like in the future, like I mean, if we can do this now and Niels can just sit here and sculpt away these objects in front of you as like an AR also experience,
Yeah.
then who knows where we're going to be when this is developing further. So yeah, maybe you have a bit of an idea of where it will be.
Yeah.
Niels.
Yeah, because you can now, so like you now have, I mean, only recently Oculus released a new pair of these headsets, and they are a lot cheaper now. So like a lot of people are going to get them, and I think that's going to continue at first. So obviously at first the market was quite small because it was just way too expensive. You need a really expensive computer for it, and now you don't necessarily need a very expensive computer anymore to be able to do this kind of stuff. And that's only going to grow. And then at some point everyone will be able to afford this and everyone will probably get it. And obviously it will become smaller.
Yeah.
But I also see a growth now in the virtual reality being used as kind of a replacement of the cursor, right? So I can see our PC's desktop now floating in front of me as well. And I think that will also just continue to grow. So like at some point people will just, instead of like going closer to your screen, like the screen is just going to get to you actually.
Closer to you, which maybe not a good thing in the end.
But I mean obviously it's not very nice to be in virtual reality for too long, but I'm pretty sure that's also going to be, they're going to work on what kind of lights, like what kind of light comes out of here, what kind of screens are in there.
Exactly.
And then it will be as small as you can, as it can be. It probably will just be glasses. And then, for example, I can also see the creative scene using this more and more. So
Yeah.
I think, I mean, we can already see it around us, right? Like when we started doing virtual reality, I don't think I wasn't aware of anyone doing this as well. Or like there were people using this program, but you can definitely see there's now so many more people also sculpting, using virtual reality to create things. Not only sculpting, but also using it to create virtual reality experiences, or
animation as well.
Animation is a huge part, right? The newest Lion King movie is made completely with using virtual production. Mm-hmm. To be able to be on a 3D film stage yourself as a director is such a beneficial thing. So that's going to be a big, like way bigger, I think. Lot more virtual production. I think, and like I said, I think a lot of just the amount of people that are going to have access to it is going to grow a lot.
Exactly. I think it will become more accessible for sure over time. And I can kind of see it as well in the sort of digital art world. That we haven't been a part of that community for too long, but we've already seen so many changes within it. And one of them is something that's quite interesting, is that digital art is now you can buy it, which I didn't really think exists before. No, Niels?
Oh, yeah.
That you can buy a piece of digital artwork, so it's not so much you're buying something, it's not going to be a physical printed thing, or it's not a poster or anything, it's actually digital. And it's going to be, it can be tokenized as well. So I think Niels knows a little bit more than I do on this subject.
So essentially what you can see, I mean, it already started like a couple of years back, I think, but you can see that a lot of people are selling their 3D artworks as crypto, essentially. So they're using platforms where they would put their artworks on, and that allows other people to bid most of the time in cryptocurrency like Ethereum. And I think that's also quite, I mean, it's relatively new to be able for digital artists to also be able to sell the artworks, right? So you can sell a poster, but you're not really part of like the painters, for example, they can sell their...
It very much feels like a separate art world on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no real specific fit for it.
No, exactly.
Because it is working with 3D objects, and they are 3D. I mean, we see them as 2D because we're always seeing them on screens, but they are a 3D, like Niels is sculpting here.
I think it's super interesting that nowadays, we can now press a button, export it, put it on a cryptocurrency of crypto art platform, and someone would maybe bid some money on it. I think it's quite interesting that now, they're allowing 3D artists to also make some money as an artist, because as a 3D artist, you're mostly seen more as a designer, I guess. Not necessarily an artist. So that's a very interesting thing that's happening right now, I think, in the 3D world in general.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that maybe we've sort of capped everything that we wanted to talk about. Do you want to add anything else, Niels?
No, I think I hope that everyone enjoyed our little chit-chat here.
I hope so too.
And I hope if anyone has any more questions or wants to talk about any of these subjects, you can send us a message on our Instagram. We will most definitely answer.
We'll always answer.
We'd love to talk with you.
And thank you so much for watching, and thank you Sharingbauhaus for inviting us to do this tutorial / let's call it podcast that we've made it into. And we hope you have a great day.
Bye bye.
Bye.